Welcome to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling. You are about to discover impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you, so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Be sure you visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now tune in, get ready, and enjoy the journey of emerging as a leader of exception in the 21st century.
Welcome, everyone, to the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast. I'm your host, Vicki Noethling, coming to you from Roswell, Georgia. The goal of this podcast is to bring topics and guests that will empower you to become that confident leader and take your business and your life to the next level. Today, I am really excited to have Brenda Chadambura.
Yes.
And let me tell you a little bit about Brenda. She is a confidence and public speaking coach, like me, to professional and entrepreneurial women who want to discover their confidence through how God sees them, their Godprint, speaking articulately and leaving an incredible mark in other people's lives through their words. Being a former public speaking dreader myself, as well as Brenda, we confidently speak to others. She is a guest she's on a quest to champion herself, to meet every woman's desires to be the best self in Christ and use her words so compelling to heal, educate, sell, advocate, and promote her business, herself, and champion others. She is globally nicknamed Encourager, and she generously shares speaking confidence tips that are practical, impactful, and enjoyable, leaving every woman feeling uplifted as she sees herself through her own distinctive value and purpose. And she's looking forward to working with all of you to help you become the best speaker and confident woman that you can be. So we're going to talk about 5 unusual ways to boost your speaking confidence. So please join me in welcoming my guest, Brenda Chadambura.
Thank you, Vicki. And you pronounced my name correctly.
I'll practice more so, but as a person who never gets her name pronounced right, I'm trying to be more aware of that. So we always start with a very easy question to get you going here, and that is just tell the audience, where do you live? Where do you call home?
I'm in Philadelphia, but I'm originally from Zimbabwe. And and uh and if you I guess I should just also just let you know, like, how did I came here through college, and then my whole family ended up moving here.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And yeah, I'll tell you a little bit more, but that's part of the story of my learning to public speak is also involved in that story of school.
Yeah. So why don't we just get into it to just share, it's always very interesting. We do the bio with all of the accolades and the things in business, but I just love to bring out that and make people aware that you did not start out where you are today. And the journey is one that we need to understand. And so go ahead and share your story.
Absolutely. So in high school, Zimbabwe has a British school system. And so you have prefects and you have a head girl. A head girl is kind of like the student leader. And you're chosen by the teachers and then the headmasters because you're seen as the leader of the whole school. So at the end of each year, there is a prize giving day. And that means parents, dignitaries, and students are there. And you, as the head girl and the head boy, have to give a speech. I loved everything about this role. I loved serving the students. I loved being a part of their lives. But this is the one thing I was dreading, Vicki. Like you literally are you just keep hoping that it just goes away, but
Mm-hmm.
it didn't. And I'm sure a lot of your listeners will relate to that, where you're just hoping it would just go away, and you're just hoping that maybe if you have to do it, that you just get through it. And I think that's a term we hear a lot of, just go through it. So finally, I couldn't escape it. I had to prepare for it. And I decided to ask a respected colleague, like, okay, I've prepared this draft of my speech. Let me go and ask her for some advice as to how does it sound.
Yeah.
In some ways, I was looking for validation. And so I went to her and I said, hey, would you mind just looking over my draft with me just to see how it's sounding? And she said, no, figure it out for yourself. And so, so after that metaphorical splash of water on my face, I went home and I realized, what exactly am I afraid of here? Do I not believe in my own thoughts, in my own value, and the validity of my own thoughts? And I realized, no, I do. I believe in my own ideas and my own thoughts, and I can stand on them and speak from that, and that's all I need to do. And that's the way I decided to deliver my speech, and it was so well received. But then the one thing that surprised me that happened is suddenly I fell in love with public speaking. I realized I might actually like this idea of standing in front of people and sharing my thoughts with them. And I think for a lot of us, we desire to have that place where we have so many valid ideas and thoughts in our work, in our business, that we want to express, but maybe they're not coming out correctly, or we're afraid that we're going to be judged, or maybe they'll come out silly. Far from it. And I think this is what you and I both help a lot of women do, to realize, no, you have valid ideas and thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
You need to trust them, and here's how you get to
Mm-hmm.
articulate them. And then after that, I went to college, and I had done some Toastmasters, and which I loved. I felt like I was the spokesperson for them. I was continuously telling all of my friends to join it. And I mean, literally, I would be coaching all of my friends and helping them with all of their speeches. In college, right, you all have presentations that they're all dreading.
Yes.
And I became the go-to person to help them. So a senior year, I was the international student president, and there was an international lounge that was being opened. Again, there were a whole bunch of dignitaries, and practically everyone in leadership on the university was going to be there. But at the same time, I was super busy that year because it was my senior year,
Yeah.
lots of classes, dissertation. And now I was organizing the processional with a whole, like, I can't remember how many international students that were going to be a part of this processional for the ceremony. So I didn't have the time to write a proper speech. And I was only required to give a 2-minute sort of speech, just to give a few
Right.
brief remarks. So it was like, okay, I can do cliff notes in my head. I'll be fine. So that's what I did, and I went on with my life. Everything went well with the actual ceremony. It was not until like maybe a week later that I got a call from the Office of Health, and it was the dean's secretary letting me know that the dean had been at that ceremony, and he had heard my speech, and he was so impressed that if I wanted a letter of recommendation for medical school, he was so happy to give it to me. I was absolutely flabbergasted. I was so amazed. And unfortunately, I had to turn it down because I wasn't pre-med. I was studying international business. But that was one of those big light bulb moments
Mm-hmm.
of, this is the power of what public speaking can do.
Yeah.
It opens doors to opportunities that sometimes you're not even soliciting. People rally around you, they support you, they are endeared to you when you're able to speak. And this does not mean you're speaking in some sort of perfect way. You just show up with a heart that is filled with conviction, and you're able to
That's right.
express your thoughts, and people are sold. And the following thing that happened was, soon after that, the dean of business, who did know me, was like, Brenda, hey, we were at that ceremony, and we were so impressed with how you spoke. And would you mind being the student commencement speaker for the graduating semester? And again, just absolutely shocked at how all of these moments, these opportunities came up without me searching for them. And can you imagine then what that means for all of us in our different areas of
Yeah.
influence? That the moment you start speaking and you start revealing your ideas and your thoughts, people are drawn to you. They want to hear from you. And I did do that. But that was now the impetus to start helping other women to recognize and to help them become the speakers that they want to be. And this is not even that you're speaking on like a big stage. It's just
Yeah.
being able to speak well in the meeting that you're going to be in today, and the webinar that you're going to maybe lead. All of those are public speaking opportunities that can help you.
Yeah. I always say, the ability to find your voice is so impactful because we speak every day.
Hmm?
When you're negotiating buying a car or a house, if you're going to your doctors and trying to explain what's going on with you, the ability to articulate that in a way that shows that you know what you're talking about and you're confident in how you're presenting yourself is just such a great asset. And when you talk about meetings, even if you don't own your business, most of the audience is entrepreneurs, but there are people that are in corporate and you have great ideas. And are you that woman that sits back and lets all the men express their ideas, which were the exact ideas that you had in your head? But because you didn't say it, you don't get the promotion. You don't get the ability to move forward and show what you have and shine. And so my goal, as is yours, is to just let people know that they have a voice and be confident in using it.
Absolutely. If I can share a short story actually to do with that, I had a client who was in a very similar situation to what you just described, where she was entering a room with some big high stakes people from the city. And
Yeah.
and she said she was entering a room with all dark suited men, is how she put it. and and she got a little bit flustered for a few seconds, and then she remembered to take some of the things that we had been discussing on board, and she went for it and she started to speak in the meeting. And halfway through, now the leader of the meeting, this is a big leader in the city, was now referring to her and saying, what do you think of this? What do you think of that?
Yes.
And then she even had an international delegate who was in that meeting email her to say thank you so much for explaining things so well. So it really makes a difference, and it leaves an impression on people that sometimes will stay with them forever.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the reasons also why I work with the students, middle school and high schoolers, is to not have them wait. It just always breaks my heart that someone, and just like me, and probably you, we're in our 20s and 30s and realize, oh God, I have to do this and I'm terrified of it. And so I figured if I can teach you at this young age to have that confidence, so you can draw on that whenever you're in school. What are some common habits that could drastically diminish the confidence that we have when we get up and try to speak?
Oh, it's really interesting. I think whenever we talk about that, people immediately think that they're going to be big things. No, it's actually the small, subtle things that make the biggest difference. So I'm going to actually frame this in the form of how you're entering a meeting.
Yeah.
5 common things that I see people doing that are really diminishing their confidence. Firstly, when you enter that meeting, if you are already nervous and you enter into it feeling as if you are not worthy to be there, that's going to hurt you. That's going to
You
already
walk
make you
smaller.
feel, yes, you walk smaller. And it's almost as if you feel like you're not worthy to be in that room.
Hmm.
Whereas no, you are qualified, you are intelligent, you are there for a reason. Not only are you there for a reason, you are there to own that room. And and the way to do that is, first of all, to make sure that when you start speaking, the number one thing you don't want to do is to start with an.
Yes.
And we always hear about but this is particularly important when you're about to give your opinion on something. Don't start with an because that immediately communicates to yourself that I'm not sure of myself. And you're communicating the same thing to the people in the room. So the way I always recommend you start is just start with a strong, clear, and friendly voice. And I'll demonstrate right here where if I were to enter a room and I'm talking and I say, um, uh, I was wondering if maybe this was what do you think of this idea? That's not coming across as someone who
Yeah.
is sure of herself. And it sounds like you're waiting for them to validate you. No, that's your chance to own the idea and the whatever it is, the opinion that you have. Okay. So the way you want to start it instead is to say something like, I have this idea and I think it's going to be really helpful. And here's why. And then you give the 3 reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
Just start with a strong, clear, and friendly voice. It's not like you are trying to force your idea on people, but you're just owning your idea in a strong, clear, and friendly way. And people are going to notice. You would be amazed at how much when you come across that way, because probably most people in the room are not doing that. But when you speak so clearly and so confidently, you will notice that people are actually looking at you. They are attracted to you, they are drawn to you, and they're wondering who you are in the best kind of way. So it actually might be disconcerting, but it's a really good thing because you will find that the more you do that, people are going to start referring to you as the expert. So that's one thing. And then the other thing that I always recommend is look at your body language when you're in that meeting. Like use your body language to your advantage. Because sometimes when we enter a room, and exactly as you said, Vicki, where we're already diminished and we're sitting like this,
Mm-hmm.
I'm already slumped.
Mm-hmm.
I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but a lot of us are kind of entering the room with
It's
that kind of
yes.
with that kind of demeanor, as opposed to I belong here. So my shoulders back, I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking forward, and I'm smiling. That makes an impression on people, even if you're nervous, especially if you're nervous, smile. Because the moment you start smiling, this has been scientifically proven. The moment you start smiling,
That's right.
you are reducing your nervousness. You are feeding your body endorphins. You are actually making yourself feel better. Isn't that incredible?
That's awesome.
So I think smiling is the most underrated way of calming
Yeah.
yourself down. And so the moment, so it's like shoulders back, look up and smile. And then if there are opportunities to shake people's hands, make sure it's firm. And
Oh,
and then
yes.
right, it's such a simple thing, but it communicates your presence. It
Mm-hmm.
communicates you believe in yourself. So make sure, and I think also especially because we've been in lockdown and we've been sort of uh,
Yeah.
sequestered from really minding our social behavior, we might have forgotten how to do some of these things, but it's time to get back into that and shake people's hands. And then when you're talking, do exactly what I'm doing, which is open your palms and allow people to see your gestures, because that's also going to communicate your sense of openness, your authenticity, your friendliness as you are speaking. So those are
Mm.
just a few tips.
I know whenever whenever I meet in person with some folks, and I always have a little bottle of the antibacterial, and I always, as I get in the meeting, the first thing before I start speaking, I always put it on so people can see, because I do want to shake their hands, but people still are a little bit hesitant. And so it gives a little bit of comfort there,
Yes.
but sadly, there are still people that will not shake your hand. So
Oh, yeah, that's probably true too. Yes. But I
yeah,
think that's a really smart idea to purposefully show them that you're putting hand
yeah,
sanitizer on so
mhm,
that they have some comfort that your hands are.
yeah.
Yeah.
So whenever you talked just a few moments ago about the opening and having power to that, oftentimes I do also introduce what is the pain or the problem that I'm going to be speaking about, and then introduce the I have you idea. And so, and you mentioned that people sometimes feel awkward being so strong and bold in their opening, but how can you sell a product honestly and compellingly to using your stories and your experience to really have those people compelled to want to listen to you and know more?
It's so simple. And again, sometimes we try and overcomplicate these things, but it's so simple. And I'm going to specifically speak to anyone here who's a business owner who does have a physical product that they might want to sell. And I'll frame it in the form of an, an experience that I had when I had first graduated. I don't know if many people have done this, but I did this. I I was job hunting and I decided, well, I need a new wardrobe, so I'm gonna get a job at J. Crew and buy some new some new clothes while I'm job hunting and interviewing and all of that. And it
Yeah.
actually worked because I actually built up a good work, like a professional wardrobe doing
Wardrobe.
that. But I had never worked in retail before, but it turned out to be the best experience ever. And I was there for about 6 months. So the first day I was actually there, I remember that there was a gentleman who came in, and I realized that it was so important that I study who this person is before I sell them anything. And I think
Yeah.
this is so important anytime we're trying to sell an idea or persuade someone about something. Listen to who they are and what
Yeah.
they want. Ask good questions. In this case, I asked him, "Who are you shopping for?" It was not for him. It was his daughter. And I think this was a man who was divorced. And and he said it was for his daughter who was in another state, far away in college. And he wanted to buy her a new wardrobe before she was starting school. And so then as I'm listening to her, listening to him, I realized that he wanted to not just show that he was a good dad. He cares, obviously. But I think it was also his way of expressing care for her while she's so far away. He wanted to connect with her and to pretty much to communicate that he was thinking of her, even though she was so far away. And then it became this mission as to just general practical questions. What size is she? What kind of things does she do? What does she like? These are the same questions that you want to be asking before you sell anything. Find out who this person is.
Yeah.
It's going to also communicate your thoughtfulness and your care. I really believe in this concept, not concept, but this practice of loving people first before you sell them
Yeah.
something.
Mm.
You really have to care for them and what matters to them and be sincere about it. It cannot be that you're doing a sort of like just a shallow job of understanding who they are. Really connect with what matters to them. And it becomes so much easier, actually. And you become so much more confident in selling to them because now you understand them, you are invested in them, and they can actually tell that you care and they trust you more. That's the benefit that comes from that. And so what happened was, after I'd asked him all of these questions, and I even asked him his budget, then it was like, okay, let's go for it. So it became so easy to pick out exactly what he wanted. And I would propose the idea, and he would tell me, yeah, that would work, maybe not this one. And it became this wonderful collaborative process of us getting the best solution for him and all of the best clothes. After we were done, I had sold him $1,000 worth of clothes. I'll never forget that. And it was like, and it was so simple and easy. And it was, I think, the biggest thing, the most important thing was that I had listened to him. I
Yeah.
had expressed care. And I genuinely meant that. I wanted him
Yeah.
to have the most success as a father who is expressing care to his daughter. And that's the same thing. So then it became easy for me then to say, I think this is the best solution for you. And this one is not the best solution for you. And this is the other thing about selling, is that you never want to push something on someone that is not right for them.
Yeah.
I think that's another key element of being good at being persuasive or selling something. Make sure that you are giving this person the best solution possible for them, not for you, so that
Right.
they now know that you are invested in their success and in helping them through your product. And so those are the recommendations that I would always give: is love this person that is in front of you. Ask lots of good questions that are going to help you to understand what matters to them so that now you can journey with them. And then it becomes easier for you now to talk about your product and all of its facets, all of its benefits that you know are actually going to help this person have a better life or a better experience, better skin, or whatever it is that they need through your product. And please tell them if something is not right for them, recommend something else. And they will respect you and honor you, and they will recommend you to other people. Even if they never buy from you, they will probably recommend you to other people whom they know is right for your product.
Right.
So yeah, that's what I would say.
So let's get back to the 5 unusual ways to boost your speaking confidence. You gave us the first one. So what are the important ingredients that make up a great presentation, thinking about these 5 ways to boost your speaking confidence?
Well, I think this is one that might be missed, but let's just go to your mindset. That's
Yes.
another thing.
Huge.
Let's start with your mindset. There are a couple of things that I recommend that you keep in mind and use every time you are going to be in a meeting. The first one is always make sure that you decide ahead of time, how do I want to show up for this meeting?
Mhm.
This is a good question to ask, because when you position yourself that way and you decide what that feels like or what that looks like, you can say, I want to feel powerful in this meeting. I want to come across as friendly, and I want to be compassionate, or whatever it is that you know is right for you and for the people that you're going to be in front of. Decide ahead of time. And that's one thing. And then along with that, I start picturing the people who are going to be in that room and picturing them enjoying what I'm going to be saying
Yeah.
and nodding. And I
Mhm.
will picture it. And then I'm thinking to myself, oh, they're going to love it. They're going to love what we're going to talk about. and I get excited. I start to get excited about speaking to them. And this is not an ego trip, by the way. It's purely because I want to be fully invested in them
Mhm.
even before I have met them. So that's the reason for that mindset of how do I want to show up, and then start picturing how the audience, how everyone in that meeting or on stage is going to respond to you. And that's going to position you to start feeling confident. You start getting excited because now you have a picture in your mind of how you are going to show up, and it makes a huge difference. So that's number one. That, along with that, also something that I mentioned before, which is learn as much as you can about your audience, because there
Yeah.
is so much confidence that lies in you learning about your confidence and really connecting with them. And the way I do it is that I will ask questions like, what do they desire? Who,
Yeah.
first of all, who are they? You know, like, are they middle schoolers, like you said? Are they high schoolers? Are they in college? Are they, even if they're real estate agents, I think it's important that you find out, are they in their early
Mhm.
stages of being a real estate agent? Or are they seasoned and they have 30 years of experience? Because that's a very different
Message.
demographic and stage of
Mhm.
life that they're in, that's going to help you to know how to frame your talk in a way that's relevant and also give you confidence. And then learn about, what are they feeling? What are they feeling right now? What are they afraid of? What do they desire to learn that you can bring to them that's going to be really helpful? The moment I start to learn all of these things about them, I am genuinely now feeling connected to them. I care about them. They're no longer strangers to me. I think one of the biggest things that's going to cause you so much public speaking anxiety is going into any talk being audience blind, is what I call it, where you don't know anything about the people you're speaking in front of. You haven't asked any questions. And this is a great place as well to ask the host lots of questions ahead of time as you
Yeah.
prepare for the talk that you're going to be in. And I'll do that even for just a general meeting. I will ask lots of questions that will help me then to know how to come into that room feeling fully connected and confident that I know what these people need.
Yeah.
That is such a confidence booster. And then, of course, we talked about body language. That's the other thing. So all of these things are going to start helping you to feel a lot more confident. And then I'll give you one more. And this is to do with, if you, it's another mindset one, but if you have been feeling like public speaking is happening at you and you're feeling like people are judging you. Far from it. Let's put that away and bury it for good. And a good way to remember that this is actually something that is an opportunity and something that's good for you is to position yourself as the leader of these people. Not only that, I'm going to give you 5 different adjectives and you can decide which one you want to be. Instead of being the one who's nervous, you can say, how do I want to show up for this meeting? I am their leader or I am their catalyst. I am their guide. Or I am their solution bringer. Or my favorite is, I am their torch bearer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm literally carrying a torch into, like, maybe just imagine they're in the dark about something. You have the solution, and now I have a torch that I'm carrying that will lead them to their solution. So you are their torch bearer. You are the one who's guiding them to that solution, to the thing that they want the most. And you're doing it with love. You are doing it with a clear voice, and you're doing it with impact. And again, people are going to love you for it. And you're not doing it because you want to be loved. You're doing it because you genuinely care to see them succeed through the things that you're going to be talking about. And so that's one thing that is good, is to reframe who you are. You're not just public speaking. You're a leader. You're a torchbearer. You're a guide. You're a solution bringer. Whichever one you choose, pick one and own it as your own as you enter into that room. And that will make a drastic difference to how you feel when you start speaking.
Awesome. So for those of you that resonated with all that has been shared today, it's time now for me to share my slide of contact information for Brenda. So if you haven't, if you're just listening and you haven't grabbed your paper and pencil to take notes, do so now so that we can be able to get you this information. It is going to be in my show notes, so you can go to my YouTube channel, Vicki Noethling. Please subscribe, as well as my findyourleadershipconfidence.com website. So the website is Brenda Chadambura. I got away from it for a minute there. And Instagram, Pinterest, and LinkedIn is also Brenda Chadambura. YouTube is at Brenda Confidence Public Speaking. I'm going to turn it over to Brenda to talk to you about her call to action. Go ahead.
Absolutely. So I think the one thing that I've been talking about is owning the room. So one thing that I have noticed is whenever anyone is thinking about a speech or a presentation, you might feel pretty daunted by the idea. But if you now know ahead of time how to show up for that meeting, you will feel a lot more excited and maybe even start pursuing speaking opportunities as opposed to avoiding them. So I have a own the room strategy guide that you can download that will give you specific things to do in terms of how to connect with your audience so that you feel confident, as we just talked about, as well as tech prep, wardrobe, colors, all of the things that are going to help you feel your best. What to do just before you get on stage to calm yourself down. What to do to stand up confidently on stage. And even what to do as you are speaking that is going to help you to own that stage, as well as really connect deeply with the people in front of you. So there's a guide that I'm providing for you to please go ahead and take. It's free and it's really useful. But if you want to take it a step further, I do have some appointments, a few slots every month where I have an own the room strategy call with you, and it's free. It's 45 minutes of us going through any presentation or talk that you have that you want some help with. Or if you just want to go through the strategy guide, I can specifically show you how to use it in your particular career or situation so that it's most valuable to you. So those are my 2 offers, is the own the room strategy call that's free for 45 minutes, and there are a few slots every month, Or you can just get the Own the Room strategy guide, and that's also going to guide you. Actually, I forgot to mention that in the guide, there are audio prompts that tell you everything that I'm talking about on each page so that you hear me guiding you through each step. So I hope that's
Awesome.
helpful.
Awesome. Well, it has been such a pleasure talking to you. You know, you and I talk the same talk, and people just need to understand how powerful their voice is. But it is an instrument, and we need to learn how to play it. And so I would encourage you all to take advantage of those free gifts that she so graciously offered. And if she resonates with you, please do take advantage of the strategy call. So once again, thank you so much for being a great guest.
Thank you so
And
much for having me.
excellent. And I always remind everyone that life is a journey, and it's up to you to enjoy the ride. This is Vicki Noethling, signing off.
Thank you for tuning into the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast with Vicki Noethling, where we share impactful lessons that help you grow as an individual, grow your confidence, and find the positive and good within you so you powerfully and authentically become the best version of yourself. Remember to visit our website at www.findyourleadershipconfidence.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Find Your Leadership Confidence podcast.